When you're a contractor, you'd never switch off from work. You work weekends, you're always doing bookkeeping, and you're out in the sun, you're dealing with lots of different characters, so it can be quite challenging. It was quite a culture shock to come from a traddie to a carer. My role in aged care started off just a few little jobs like gutter cleaning, window cleaning, but basically I would do anything that they couldn't do. Born in Glasgow in a rooming kitchen, left school at 16, wasn't the greatest academically, couldn't get a job, and I ended up working with my dad, just doing labouring and picked up a trade. That's how I ended up in Australia. I had no intentions of coming to Australia, so I'm an accidental Aussie. There's a limit to what your body can take, and after 40 odd years of doing the building trade, you do wear and tear.
He was just getting to that stage where his body just could not cope with the repetition.
Teresa is my second wife. Knew each other in childhood as friends.
I immigrated to Australia when I was 10 with my parents. The parents stayed in contact, and Tony came over here on holiday with his dad.
Both of us were single and we ended up teaming up together.
When he came to Australia, it was hard for him to get a job. So he started up his own business being a handyman, and I was working for an aged care company at the time and encouraged him to be a contractor.
When an occupational therapist would come out and, recommend grab rails, for instance, he'd come in and put the rails in place.
Tony came to fix a screen door for us, so that's how we initially came to know Tony.
We always had really great feedback about that work that he did.
He was quiet, but he had a diabolical sense of humour.
Absolutely terrible. Terrible sense of humour.
Coming from the building trade, banter is huge, huge. If you don't come back with a response, you'll get ripped to shreds.
He drives me nuts.
We felt quite comfortable having him in the home because he had that sort of good demeanour and good personality.
Every day he would come home and he'd say he met someone really lovely today, and oh my gosh, the stories that person had. And I thought this could be a profession for him. I
like people, because usually it's quite interesting. We usually get a few stories. They're starting to get on a bit in years, and I said, why don't you try something else? It
did take a long time of encouraging. At Tony's age, you don't want to be doing a second career change, but I'm so glad that he did.
So eventually I did my Cert 3 individual care and disability.
I don't think that there was a fear about finding work, because obviously with aged care, the need for care is just massive. However, there was a fear of finding the right work.
My wife said, there's Ferros advertising. Why don't you go for that? Lo and behold, I got offered the job.
It was a really wonderful thing because we could see the qualities in him, and we just knew he'd really, really shine in doing that.
For me, at my stage in life, it means I can continue working in a job I like. People need to trust you because they're letting you into their house, so you need to be careful. You need to follow protocol. You need to make sure they know you're coming. Very first client was Bob and Shell. Good people, good crack. Hi, Shell. Well.
Bob had been in hospital, and when he came out of hospital, lo and behold, Tony came. We felt comfortable with him. So having him come in a carer's role, obviously we observed him as a carer, and within the first 10 minutes I thought, no, this is good. He's really found his niche.
You know, there's always somebody at the end of the phone. Everybody's looking out for each other. If there's a problem, I could phone back to base. I'd went to Bob, but he'd recently had a fall and he was in hospital for quite some time. Bob didn't feel safe because he had a bit of anxiety about falling. And you don't realise how important it is for somebody who's been in hospital for how many weeks, just to step out in daylight, walk down that street, and just to give them that support.
He was extremely caring, and I noticed that Bob automatically felt a lot.
Felt more secure.
Yeah.
And to actually get outside and walk up the street and back again was something really special. And that's left an indelible impression on my mind.
It's only when you hear their perspective that you kind of get a grasp of what it meant. Obviously, it's made a big impression on both of them. Well, it's good. Sometimes you get the opportunity to spend a bit of time with the clients. He used to go to a card school, so he's obviously a bit of a sharp, but just to have that interaction with the client was really good.
It's genuine, you know, and you need that in the caring industry. And he knows if Bob's not doing too well. I don't have to say, hey, he's not too good this morning. He can tell. And that makes a really good carer as well.
It's a gift. It's
Yeah.
a gift.
It's about not the actual service itself, but the relationship, and it's about, you know, the difference it makes for that person. Just having someone come in, talk to them, it just can make a whole difference to their life.
You can't buy that sort of care. It's from within. It comes from deep within.
It works both ways. Work is good for me socially, keeps me motivated, gives me a purpose.
We need more men to come into this industry.
With the female carers, I've got to have filters switched on. With Tony, I can be a little more off the cuff.
I think males have been underrated when it comes to the caring role. Maybe they perceive it as a woman's role, but I don't think people realise how much male companionship in a caring role actually means to another male.
Men like to talk with other men about stuff, so it's good for their interactions, good for them to have male company.
There's a bit of banter. They can talk sport, play cards, rest of it, yeah.
I mean, anyone can come in and do the job of getting me showered and dressed and things like that. And unless there's that to and fro between us, it doesn't really amount to much. And it helps make life worth living.
Even though he's only been here for a short time, he has really made a difference to the lives of our clients, and it's really been noticed.
It's quite enjoyable. People trust you. And it's a very rewarding position.
If you feel like, you know, you're looking for something different, you're looking for a meaningful and rewarding role, it's never too late, and you can come into the industry and find a really good career path. It's an industry that we are helping people to live their best life, an independent life. Tony is absolutely helping people achieve that.
You let them do as much as they can, but you're there to make sure everything's okay. Aged care is enablement.